So in this discussion, we will go with Python programming syntax. So we go to the next slide. So again, we go to the Python overview. So Python is a high-level, interpreted, interactive, and object-oriented scripting language. So we discussed already in the past videos. So Python was designed to be highly readable, which uses English keywords frequently, whereas other languages use punctuation, and it has fewer syntactical constructions than other language. So Python is designed to be readable, and it uses the English keywords. Then the Python is an interpreted language. This means that it is processed at runtime by the interpreter, and you do not need to compile your program before executing it. This is similar to Perl and PHP. So the correct example of the programming language that requires the interpreter or the runtime is Java. So they have the they need to compile before executing the file. So Python is really very different from the Java programming language. Python is interactive. This means that you can actually sit at a Python prompt and interact with the interpreter directly to write your program. So for example, okay, I'm using the Python 3.11. So once we try 3 plus 3, so the answer will automatically pop up without the compiler, right? So Python is an object-oriented programming. This means that Python supports object-oriented style or technique of programming that encapsulates code within the object. So the object-oriented programming is having the encapsulations code within the objects. So Python is a beginner's language. So many students have seen that Python is really for beginners, but it is really useful, especially in machine learning. So it is not only for beginners language, but it is also for advanced like machine learning. So Python is a great language for the beginner programmers and supports the development of wide range applications, from simple text processing to WW browsers to games. So Python is also for web development and also for games. So compiling and interpreting. Many languages require you to compile, translate your program into a form that machine understands. So for example, if you are using the Java code, so here we have the hello.java. So this Java file is converted to bytecode, hello.class. Then after it is converted to bytecode, it will execute. So Python is instead directly interpreted into the machine instructions. So hello.py directly to output. This do not have the compile or the bytecode. So it automatically displays the output without the compiler. So this is the difference between Java and Python. So the history of Python, we already discussed this a while ago, but we still review for this one. So Python was developed by Guido van Rossum in the late of 80s and early 90s. So at the National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science in the Netherlands. Python is derived from many languages, including EBC. So EBC are those languages from I think it's 1900s. Modula 3, C, C++, Algol 68, Smalltalk, and Unix Shell, and other scripting language. So these are the language that is already the legend language because they are already old enough. So we do not, many of these things are not already appearing in our programming today, but they are the foundation of all the programming language, especially this C programming. So Python is copyrighted. Like Perl, Python source code is now available under the GNU General Public License GPL. So it is now updated. It is now having the copyright, but still it is a free source program. Python is now maintained by a core development team at the institute, although Guido van Rossum still holds a vital role in directing its progress. So still the inventor is having the vital role in directing the processes of Python. So the Python features. So basically we have the features for every programming language. So it says that first, easy to learn. Python was relatively few keywords, simple structure, and a clearly defined syntax. Basically, this Python is just if you want to have the numbers, you can directly put the numbers and then it can show the results. Not like the Java programming language, it needs to have the query or the instructions. Then it compiles. So basically, it is hard to learn. So easy to read. Python code is much more clearly defined and visible to the eyes. Yes, because if you are a beginner, you can directly see the code and its output. If you are developing in other languages like Java, there are many syntax and it is and if you are a beginner, you cannot read it easily. Easy to maintain. Python success is that its source code is fairly easy to maintain. So next is a broad standard library. One of Python's greatest strength is the bulk of the library is very portable and cross-platform compatible in Unix, Windows, and Macintosh. So today I am using the VS Studio Code and I use Python libraries to it. So basically I just download the Python programming language, then I install those libraries. So I can now start using it from my VS Code. So interactive mode. Support for an interactive mode with which you can either enter results from a terminal right to the language, allowing interactive testing and debugging of snippets of code. So interactive. Next is portable. So Python can run on a wide variety of hardware platforms and has the same interface on all platforms. So if you are having a portable program, it should display if correctly either in PC or in other PC. So extendable. You can add low-level modules to the Python interpreter. So you can also add modules for yourself. These modules enable programmers to add or customize their tools to be more efficient. Databases. So in every languages, we really need the databases because this is our backends and this will have the data being stored. So the database are having the confidential data for our system. So Python provides interfaces to all major commercial databases. So GUI programming. Python supports GUI applications that can be created and ported to many system calls, libraries, and Windows systems such as Windows MFC, Macintosh, and the X Windows system of Unix. So the Python is also scalable, provides a better structure and support for large program that shell scripting. Okay. So Python environment. We have the Unix, Solaris, Linux, FreeBSD, IX, HP Unix, and also RIX. So these are the version of the Unix. So also we have the Windows 9X, NT, and 2000. So these are the older versions of Windows, Macintosh, PPC 68K, OS to DOS, multiple versions, Palm OS, Nokia mobile phones, Windows CE. So these are the following that supports the Python environment. So Python has also been ported to the Java and .NET virtual machines. So in Java you can also use Python and also in .NET. So .NET is in C#. So Python basic syntax. So this discussion is focused on this one. So since it is an interactive mode programming, so that you can directly tell the program to print and display the hello Python. So once you tell the program, for example, you just play this one. Okay, print, for example, print hello world. So once you run this program, okay, we have the stdin. Okay, we have the missing here. So this Python syntax is, I think it is already from older Python version. So now when we print Python, it is already inside the two parentheses, this one. Then we put the double quotes. Then inside there we display the string. Then once we are done, we just need to click enter. Then it will display hello Python. Then otherwise when we put the 3 plus 4 times 5, it will, let us check, 3 plus 4 times 5. So it displays 23. So this one. So this is correct. So this is the example of the interactive mode programming for Python. Then script mode programming. So invoking the interpreter which a script parameters begins execution of the script and continues until the script is finished. When the script is finished, the interpreter is no longer active. For example, put the following in one test.py and run. This one. So print hello Python, print I love com 350. So the output will be hello Python and I love com 350. So once we see the output, this will just display what is inside the double quote. So that will be the one that will be displayed for our output. So Python identifiers. So a Python identifier is a name used to identify a variable, function, class, module, or other object. An identifier starts with the letter E to Z or E to Z, small letter or an underscore followed by 0 or more letters, underscores, and digits 0 to 9. Python does not allow punctuations characters such as @sign. So those are the special characters. Python is a case sensitive. Meaning of case sensitive, it is having the actuality of, if you declare a capital, so it should be a capital. If you declare a small letter, so it should be a small letter. Okay. So Python, those manpower and manpower are two different identifiers on Python. So these are the example. So if we have the manpower variables, so it is different from the manpower, which is small letter in the first word. So Python identifiers continuation. So here are the following identifier naming conventions for Python. Class names start with an uppercase letter and all other identifiers with a lowercase letter. Then, starting an identifier with a single leading underscore indicates by conventions that the identifier is meant to be private. So, if you put the identifier with a single leading score, it means that it is a private variable. Next is starting an identifier with two leading underscores indicates strongly private identifier. So if you start with a double underscore, so it is a strongly private identifier. So if the identifier also ends with two trailing underscore, the identifier is language defined specially. So if the identifier is having the two underscore at the end of its declaration, so the identifier is a language defined special. So for example, keyword contains letters only. So these are the received words from the Python programming. So once you call this one, so it automatically it calls the function. So we have the and. So these are the following list for the keywords that contains lowercase letters only. So you can check for yourself from here to here. So lines and indentation. So one of the first caveats programmers encounter when learning Python is the fact that there are no braces to indicate blocks of codes for class and functions definitions or flow control. Blocks of codes are denoted by line indentation, which is rigidly enforced. So yes, because Python is having the indentations. For example, this one. So in this code, okay, as you can see, we have the indentations, di ba? If we are using the for loop, so the print for the for loop is having the indentations. As you can see, we have the indentations for all of this. Okay. So the number of spaces in an indentation is variable, but all statements within the block must be indented the same amount. Both blocks in these examples are fine. So this one, if true, if this is the example of the if else statement. If true, print the answer, print true. Else or otherwise, print answer and print false. right? So multi-line statements. So statements in Python typically end with a new line. Python does, however, allows the use of the line continuation character backslash to denote the line should continue. For example, total, okay. So for example, if you're having the um, length line, so if your program is lengthy, so you can just put the front end backslash to make it into second line. If but it's still the same with the lengthy one. You just have the shorter view. So item 1 plus item 2 plus item 3. So you just need to put the front backslash. So statements contained within this one array or brackets do not need to use the line continuation character. For example, this one. So once you are included in an array like this, so you do not need to put the forward backslash. Okay? So the difference is when you call it in this one is a numbers or strings, and this is for the arrays or the list. So quotation in Python. Pythons accept the single or double quote or triple quote to denote strong literals, as long as the same type of quote starts and ends with a string. The triple quotes can be used to span the string across multiple lines. For example, all of the following are legal. So word, so we have the single quote. Then sentence, we have the double quote. Paragraph, we have the triple quote. So these are the examples of single, double, and triple quote. So comments in Python. So a hash sign or hashtag sign that is not inside a string literal begins a comment. All characters after the hash sign and up to the physical line and are part of the comment, and the Python interpreter ignores them. So for example, this one. So as you can see, we have this one. So this is what we call as comment. So the Python interpreter does not care for this one. This is just a comment, so they will ignore it. So our program will ignore it because this is just a comment to identify how this code interacts with our program, right? So for example, in this one, we commented that define regis pattern to match games name starting with the uppercase letters. So this will display the pattern from A to Z, and A to Z is the space. So we need to just import the RE library for the regex. So using the blank lines. So a line containing only white space, possibly with a comment, is known as blank line, and Python totally ignores it. So the same as this one. This one, we have the blank line, so Python does not reads them, they just ignore them. So in an interactive interpretation, you must enter an empty physical line to terminate multi-line statement. Multiple statements on a single line. So the semicolon allows multiple statements on the single line given that neither statement starts a new code block. Here is the sample snip using the semicolon. So once we import the system, so x equals foo. So this is the string. So system that steady out that write x plus n, so it will display as foo, right? So we have the multiple statements here in one line. So if you put semicolon, so this allows the multiple statements to be putted in the first line or in the one line. Multiple statements group as suits. Group of individual statements making up in a single code blocks are called suits in Python. Compound or complex statements such as if, while, def, and class are those which require a header line and a suit. Header lines begin a statement with the keyword and terminate with a colon and are followed by one or more lines which make up the suit. So if we have the if, elif, and else state of expression, so if expression, it will display suit, else if, then we have the expression also, suit, then else we declare as suit. So this one where display the complex statements. So the Python variable types. So Python's variable are nothing but reserved memory location to store values. This means that when you create a variable, you reserve some space in memory. Based on the data type of a variable, the interpreter allocates memory and decides what can be stored in the reserved memory. Therefore, by assigning different data types to variables, you can store integers, decimals, or characters in this variable. So in this example, okay. So this name list is where we stored our names. So we have the names of arrays. So we have this second name, and we have also the third name. So this is the variables, and this is the values. Okay. So in that program, as you can see that it is a characters or strings. So assigning values to variables. So Python variables do not have to be explicitly declared reserved memory space. The declaration happens automatically when you assign value to a variable. The equal sign is used to assign values to a variable. So this equal sign is used to assign values. So for example, counter equals 100. So 100 does not have the decimal, so it automatically is an integer assignment. So miles equals 1000.0. As you can see, we have the decimal point, so it is a floating point. Name equals John, so John is not a character because it has a 4-letter word, so it means that it is a string. Once we print counter, print miles, print name, so it will just display this assigned values. So it will display as 100, 1000.0, and John for this example. So multiple assignments. You can also assign a single value to several variables simultaneously. For example, if A equals B equals C equal to 1. So in this code, it just means that A equals 1, B equals 1, C is equals to 1. Right? Or A, B, C equals to 1, 2, then John. So these are the examples on how to have the multiple assignments for a line of Python. Standard data types. So Python has 5 standard data types. We have the numbers or the int, string, list, tuple, and dictionary or the ICT. So Python numbers. Numbers data type store numeric values. They are immutable data types, which means that changing the value of a number data types result in a newly allocated object. Number objects are created when you assign values to them. For example, var1 equals 1. So these are the number objects because these are the values that is assigned to var1, and number 10 is assigned to var2. So Python supports 4 different numerical types. We have the integer for the Python numbers. We have the integer sign integers. Long integers can also be represented in octal and hexadecimal. This is for binaries. Float, floating point, or real for decimal. Complex numbers like fractions. So number examples, we have the integer. So these are the list of the integer examples. We have the long, so we have the hexadecimal here. Okay, this one is an hexadecimal. Then float, we have the 0, 15.2. Basically, the float is for decimal. Then we have the complex, like this one, the combination of the numbers and letters. Okay. So Python strings. So strings and Pythons are identified as a contiguous set of characters in between quotation marks. So strings is because a string has many characters. For example, if you have the word John, so it has the 4 characters. So every letter is counted as a character. So if you have the John word, so you have basically the 4 characters. So Python allows for either pairs of single or double quotes. Subsets of strings can be taken using the slice operator and this one, which indexes starting at 0 in the beginning of the string and working their way from -1 at the end. So the plus sign in the string concatenate. So you use the plus sign for the concatenation. Then the asterisk is for the repetition of the operator. For example, if we have the exponential or the exponent. So the example is string hello world. So this will print str prints completes the string. Print str0. So for example, we have the string for hello world. So once we print the str or the our variable, it will print the complete string as you can see in this output, right? So we have the hello world. Then we print the str in the 0. So in an array we start with the 0. So what is our 0? So we basically have the h, so it displays the h. So print first character of the string. Then print str2 to 5, prints character starting from 3rd to 6. So 2 to 5 is since we start with 0, so it will from 0, 0, 1, 2. So we have the 2 here, 3, 4, 5. So it will just display the LLO. So this is what it displays. Okay, LLO. Then print str2. Then this one print string starting from the 3rd character. So once you put the 2, 0, 1, 2, so this will display from LLO until the end. This one. This is the output. Print str times 2, print string 2 times. So str times 2, this will display hello world and hello world. This one. Then once we concatenate, so print str plus test, prints concatenated string. So this is hello world test. So you can see the str and the test string is concatenated, meaning they are combined. So Python list. So lists are the most versatile of Python's compound data types. A list contains items separated by commas and enclosed within the square brackets. To some extent, lists are similar to arrays in C. One difference between them is that all the items belonging to a list can be of different data type. So in C, we only have the one data type if you have the list, but in Python, it can have the different data type. So the values stored in a list can be accessed using the slice operator. This one. Each index is starting at 0 in the beginning of the list and working their way to end -1. The plus sign is the list of concatenation. Same with just Python strings. We also have the plus sign for concatenation and asterisk for the repetition. So these are the examples of the list. So you have the ABCD 786 2.23. So this is the inside the list. Then the tiny list is 1, 2, 3 dyan. So print list. So print the complete list. So this will display this one. So output, this is the output. Print list 0, it will just display this ABCD because we start with 0 once we are having the arrays. So it will just print for ABCD. Print list 1, 2, 3. So it will just display 1, 2, 3. So this will display to 70.0. 76.23, this one. Okay. Print list 2. So 2 from 0, 1, 2. So it will display from 2.23 until 70.2. This one. Print tiny list times 2. Okay. Print list 2 times. So we have that 1, 2, 3 dyan, 1, 2, 3 dyan. This one. So it displays 2 times because we have this function. Print list plus tiny list, we concatenate this one. So this print this list plus this list. So basically this one. This is the output of the concatenation. So these are the examples. So Python tuples. A tuple is another sequence data type that is similar to the list. A tuple consists of a number of values separated by commas. Unlike lists, however, tuples are enclosed within the parentheses. So in our list, we have the brackets, but in our Python tuples, we have the parentheses, then the brackets. The main difference between lists and tuples are lists are enclosed with brackets, this one, and their elements or size can be changed, while tuples are enclosed in parentheses and cannot be updated. So once you are in tuples, the elements and size cannot be changed. The tuples can be taught as of read-only list. So this is the example of tuple. So we have the parentheses here. So we also have the tiny tuple here in this one. So print tuple, will print the complete list. This one. This is the output. Print tuple 0 prints first element of the list. So this is the ABCD. This one. Then print tuple 1, 2, 3 prints elements starting from second till end. So we have the 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have the 2.23 and dyan. This one. This one. Then print tuple 2 print element starting from third elements row 0, 1, 2, so it will print to 2.23 dyan, this one. So the difference between the tuple and the list is just there, this one. We have for tuples we have the parentheses, and for list we have the brackets, and also the list is changeable, especially in their indexes, but in tuple they are in same format, meaning you cannot modify them. So basically they are also called the this one, read only list. So Python dictionary. So Python dictionaries are hash table type. They work like associative arrays or hashes found in Perl and consist of key value pairs. Perl, as you may know, that it is also a programming language. So keys can be almost any Python type, but are usually numbers or strings. Values, on the other hand, can be any arbitrary function objects. So the dictionaries are enclosed by curly braces, so they are different. So for the list we have the brackets, for the tuples we have the parentheses, and for the Python dictionary is a curly braces. Values can be assigned and success using square braces. So this is the example of the DICT. Same with this one. Okay, we have the DICT. Then DICT 1, this is 1, DICT 2, this is 2. So these are the examples. And so for example, if we print the ICT1, so print value for 1 key, so this is 1. Then for 2 key, this is 2. Then print complete dictionary tiny the ICT, this one. Okay, so these are the output for our dictionary. So maybe that's all for then. Lastly, we have the data type conversion for INTX. So we have the converts to x to an integer basis. So these are the data types conversion. So you can just check for yourself. So we do not need to explore for each. So we gave about 1 minute for you to see the data type conversions for every function. So this is very useful, especially if we are in school, because this is what we will be doing every day. You need to have the math computation for this one, or you have the math knowledge in order for you to learn for this programming language. So basically you can see this in school, but these functions also exist in our once we are in our company. So maybe that's all for our Python syntax discussion. So next I think we will go with Python comments. We already done with the Python comments, or we will just review with the Python comments. So we will have a short discussion for our Python comments, then we will have the Python variables, the data types, numbers, casting, strings, boolean operators. We still have many topics to learn or to discuss. So for now, we will end this with our Python syntax.